Tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka zizi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Tukuomba utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amina. I was asking, you are certain whether we have a requisite quorum? If you can ring the bell for 3 minutes.
Well, the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Catherine Murungi, has just directed that the quorum bell be rung for 3 minutes. This is to allow members of the Senate who may be within the precincts of Parliament to be able to get into the chambers to enable the House achieve its quorum. And this is according to the House Standing Order. Standing Order number 39 on the quorum of the Senate is that the quorum of the Senate or a committee of the whole shall be 15 senators. Standing Order number 40 on the quorum at commencement of a sitting of the Senate is that if there is no quorum present when the chair is taken at the time appointed for a sitting of the Senate, the Speaker shall immediately after the prayer order the bell to be rung for 10 minutes. If no quorum is present at the expiration of the 10 minutes, the Speaker may direct that the bell be rung for a further 10 minutes. And if there is still no quorum present, the Speaker shall adjourn the Senate forthwith to the next sitting. So currently is a 3-minute quorum bell as directed by the Deputy Speaker. This is to, of course, allow the members who are yet to be able to walk into the chambers to allow the House achieve the requisite quorum at the commencement of the House business. And well, quorum has been achieved. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast. Good afternoon. My name is Kamche Menza.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Honorable Senators, have 2 petitions which are ordained simultaneously. This is a petition to the Senate concerning enactment of legislation to regulate the credit profession. Honorable Senators, I hereby report to the Senate that a petition has been submitted to the Senate by CCP Mokaya Magembe Bernard on behalf of the Council of the Institute of Credit Management, Kenya, concerning enactment of legislation to regulate the credit profession. As you are aware, under Article 119(1) of the Constitution, and I quote, Honorable Senator, there's some interruption I'm getting from the members. Senator Lerengwe, Senator Lerengwe, order. You are interrupting the chair as I read this important petition. Number 2, as you are aware, under Article 119(1) of the Constitution, and I quote, every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including enacting, amending, or repealing any legislation. Honorable Senators, the salient issues raised in the same petition are: 1, that the petitioners are members of the Council of the Institute of Credit Management, Kenya. 2, that various professionals in Kenya, including accountants, lawyers, financial analysts, engineers, doctors, nurses, auctioneers, human resource petitioners, among others, are regulated through statute for effective administration of their roles. 3, that credit professionals do not have a guiding statute that regulates the credit profession to ensure high professional standards among practitioners in the credit sector. Number 4, that this has exposed consumers to a number of risks, including breach of transparency, unconscionable conduct, and loss of assets, which can be mitigated by having certified credit professionals. Senator Maluma, find your way to your seat. And did not ask you to find your way without bowing to the bar, kindly. Number 5, that the enactment of legislation regulating the credit profession will establish a recognized legislated position of credit professionals in matters credit and debt management, provide a qualified and well-regulated credit profession, as well as provide accountable, reliable, and certified credit professionals, among other benefits. 6, that the petitioners are made efforts to have the matter addressed by the relevant authorities, all of which have failed to give a satisfactory response. And number 4, the petitioners therefore pray that the Senate enacts a legislation to regulate the credit profession and specifically provide for the following, among other relevant provisions. 1, the establishment and membership of the Institute of Certified Credit Professionals. 2, the functions and management of the Institute. 3, the registration of credit professionals and issuance of annual practicing certificates. And 4, disciplinary provisions that include the establishment of a disciplinary committee, inquiry, and appeal mechanisms. So, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 237, I shall now allow, before we get there, I will read the following, the other petition, so that you can make comments on both petitions. This is another petition to the Senate concerning lack of implementation of a resolution to absorb the contracted instructors under the Economic Stimulus Program, ESP, by the county government of Nyeri. Honorable Senators, I hereby report that a petition has been submitted to the Senate by Mr. Julius Wairuko Wajoi concerning lack of implementation of a resolution to absorb the contracted instructors under the Economic Stimulus Program by the county government of Nyeri. As you are aware, under Article 119(1), the Constitution, and I quote, every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including enacting, amending, or repealing any legislation. Honorable Senator, this is a long petition, so I allow you to sit to the nearest. Sit. Honorable Senators, the salient issues raised in this petition are the following. A, that in July 1989, the petition was employed by the then Minister of Education as a carpentry instructor 2 and posted to Kiagudu Youth Polytechnic in Nyeri. That following the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution and the advent of devolution, the Youth Polytechnic training function was subsequently transferred to the county governments through legal notice number 16 of February 2013 and Gazette notice number 116 of 9th August 2013, pursuant to the fourth schedule to the Constitution of Kenya 2010. As a result, all the staff were in the counties and performing devolved functions were deemed secondary to continue providing services. That on 2nd December 2014, a consultative meeting was held between the Ministry of Devolution and Planning, the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, and the Transition Authority to address numerous issues that were facing the transition of youth polytechnics. And D, that the meeting resolved, among others, that the contracts of the instructors under the Economic Stimulus Program be extended up to 30th June 2015, and thereafter the instructors be absorbed by the county governments on permanent and pensionable terms. The county governments were required to make budgetary provisions to pay the staff following the passage of the County Allocation of Revenue Act. Honorable Senators, find your way to the nearest seats. That on 15th December 2014, the Transition Authority communicated the resolution to the county governments for implementation. Several counties implemented this resolution, but the county government of Nyeri has not implemented the same to date. And if that the petition has made efforts to have this matter addressed by the relevant authorities, all of which have failed to give a satisfactory response. Number 4, the petitioner therefore prays that the Senate intervenes in this matter with a view of recommending to the county government of Nyeri to implement the resolution as required and compensate the petitioner for the period between 30th June 2015 to date. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 237, I shall now allow comments, observations, or clarifications in relation to the two petitions for not more than 30 minutes. And Senator Kisang, you have a case to answer. Senator Manzo Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to comment on this petition. I would like to comment on the second one in relation to the training institutes, which by the Constitution have been devolved to the counties. And it is not just in Nyeri, but it has happened to many, many other parts of the country. It's a matter which touches in all the counties, but the decision made on the Nyeri petition will give bearings or will give direction into other counties. Mr. Speaker, getting these training institutes at a level which is international or even at a level whereby they are training will immediately be useful to the young people. Mr. Speaker, they're very, very important, that sort of technology where the young people learn in what previously used to be the polytechnics, and now are there be republished in the counties so that young people can acquire skills in the counties. Mr. Speaker, a lot of times, even with the construction which is going on nationwide, even from the private individuals and from the government institutions, you find that at times you cannot even get a plumber. At times, you cannot even get an electrician. We are now doing solar. You find there are no people to be able to deal with the solar technology in the villages, Mr. Speaker. So this is very important. It should be handled as an economic stimulus. It should be handled as fast as it can, so that these skills are passed to the young people. And not everybody. We have 100% transition to secondary schools. After secondary schools, we have a lot of people transit to the universities, but we also have a lot of people who want to acquire skills, because of the expenses in the country, you want to acquire these skills, in the nearest possible institution near you, where you can even attend college, and in the evening you go back home. It's ideal for many parents, Mr. Speaker, so that the other members can also comment, Mr. Speaker. I support that particular petition. It is urgent, and the whole country is waiting for it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next, Senator Ososi Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to comment on the first petition, which is a petition to request for the formation of a credit management institute, which will regulate the credit management profession in the country. Mr. Speaker, whereas I support the idea of having professional organization, having a legislation around regulating a particular profession, I think that has to be done with a lot of care, so that we don't end up having so many legislation on regulation of professions when they can best be done under one big professional organization. Mr. Speaker, when I look at credit management, it has a lot of financial aspects to it. There are issues of accounting, there are issues of auditing, and that can still be catered for under the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, which already exist. Mr. Speaker, I'm also aware that credit management is one of the certified courses offered by the examination body called CASNEB that deals with accounting courses, certification courses. So I think the committee that will be looking at this petition, they need to interrogate ISPAC to see the need of having a separate professional body under legislation to deal with one matter of credit management. I know ISPAC deals with the taxation issues, they deal with accounting, they deal with the auditing, and we have to be convinced that credit management can be dealt separately. So there is need, Mr. Speaker, of having a legislation to regulate the various professions, because that will be one of the ways of instilling ethics in our profession and possibly dealing with the matters of corruption in this country. Mr. Speaker, I sponsored a bill in the last parliament to regulate the ICT profession in this country. And the bill was hugely fought by some business community in this country. But Mr. Speaker, we continue to have challenges in this sector, increasing cybercrime, which in most cases is facilitated by IT professionals. And the matter is aggravated by the lack of a proper legal framework to regulate this particular industry. So I vote for having professional bodies which are under the law, but that has to be done with a lot of care, and that has to be done without discriminating particular professions. Mainly the ICT professional, which up to date is not under any piece of legislation, and there are a lot of challenges. I know a country like Nigeria, which had highest levels of cybercrime in the world. They have gone down because there is a legislation to regulate the ICT sector in terms of how training is done, how they are registered, how they are punished. But in this country, there is nothing. And Mr. Speaker, when I tried to bring this up, there was a lot of resistance from multinationals in this country because they have been benefiting from lack of a proper regulatory framework for ICT professionals in this country. Mr. Speaker, I know these comments are not related, but I think it's important to look at these issues as we move on. I support the petition, but I would request the committee to interrogate also ISPAC so that they can find out what is this special need of having a credit management institute, which is separate from ISPAC. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the petition from Nyeri on the instructors to the county vocational training colleges. Mr. Speaker, I think I stand here to confirm that the instructors to vocational training colleges are actually supposed to be employees of county governments because vocational training colleges, the then village polytechnics, were devolved and are a function of county governments. And Mr. Speaker, I know there was a big issue on the question of staff who are on contract. But since resources follow function, and when you accept a function or accept to run a county government, Mr. Speaker, you must accept the assets and the liabilities of that county to be able to manage. And therefore, I really support the petitioner in that the county government of Nyeri ought to have actually, they should have employed all those instructors in vocational training colleges on permanent and pensionable terms. Mr. Speaker, I am a witness that this is a matter that was agreed between the Council of Governors and the then Transition Authority, and I think that matter was rested. County government of Nyeri should be taken to task as to why those staff have been subjected to discriminative terms in terms of employment. I therefore want to urge my colleague senators to support this petition and make sure that those employees of vocational training colleges get what is rightfully theirs in terms of placement. And Mr. Speaker, it should be noted that if county governments don't staff those vocational training colleges, then counties are at risk of this function being referred back to national government. I know there has been discussions by members of parliament on the role of vocational training colleges. There is need for those vocational training colleges to remain at that devolved level. In fact, the law was very clear that we must have a vocational training college in every ward, despite the constraint of resources available to counties to actualize that. But I think progressively over time, that is where we need to go, and that is why we cannot afford to have instructors who are on contract terms or casual terms, of people who are dissatisfied to perform their duties, to perform that, and we expect our vocational training colleges to come up and to be able to impart the necessary skills to the citizens of our very counties. So, Mr. Speaker, I support that petition, and I think the county government of Nyeri should ensure that those vocational training instructors are actually absorbed. And probably they would be the only ones amongst the counties who have not absorbed those economic stimulus instructors to our vocational training colleges. Mr. Speaker, I support the petition.
Thank you, Senator Okongo Mugeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise, Mr. Speaker, to support the petition by CCP Mokaya Magembe on credit profession regulation. And Mr. Speaker, this is timely. This is timely. Mr. Speaker, the only thing I'd like to propose is just to amend the heading of this petition to include the practice and credit, the practice and the giving of credit in the market. Mr. Speaker, there are so many Shylocks in town calling themselves credit bureaus. I'd rather to call them credit bureaus or credit giving organizations that prey on very innocent Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. And the interest they charge the poor Kenyans out here is exorbitant, is unreasonable, Mr. Speaker. And you know, I once dealt with a Kenyan, I'm sorry to name, who got finance from Metropolitan. And you know, she said she went to that company, and you are told we have a lawyer, we'll give you a lawyer for free to help you fill the papers, you give you a logbook. They don't even allow you to take even copies of the contract you sign with them. And you know, the interest, Mr. Speaker, is 3 times what you will be charged by our local banks here. So this is an area, Mr. Speaker, that has subjected Kenyans to a lot of suffering. I hope the committee that will take this matter up, Mr. Speaker, will not just look at regulating I don't know what the petitioner intended. I hope we are not going to do it like Law Society, that you want to regulate the people practice, but even the bodies that are engaged in credit, giving credit to Kenyans out there. Because, Mr. Speaker, people go to borrow when they have problems. You come to Nairobi, you bring a patient to Kenyatta, your patient dies, and you are told by the hospital they need 200,000. So you are in town, you say, let me go to a credit reference bureau and get some money. I remove my patient, go home, I'll repay. When you go back, what you are told to pay, if you borrow 100, you find they want you to pay 500,000. It's not something we should allow, really, as parliamentarians. There is a lacuna here, and we have been given a golden opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to address this issue. I remember, also, I think this is an area we are willing to have a bipartisan approach. I don't know what is the magic with the magic that Kibaki brought. In 2002, Mr. Speaker, I was a very young professional. I just worked for 6 years. And when Kibaki took over, banks were calling us, saying, come and get money. Me, I went to Barclays. That was my first loan. They just said, what do you want? Bring your pay slip. And I disappeared with 500,000. And the interest was really reasonable. I'm pleading to the UDA administration to also consider, I don't know whether indeed the advisor can put some thoughts together so that we make credit available to Kenya. You know, if you borrow from a reputable bank, like Barclays, like a National Bank, like Equity, they will not subject you to the kind of suffering you will receive from these credit bodies. So we are also challenging the government of the day to see whether there are ways you can jumpstart the economy so that Kenyans can get easy access to credit. 202, we could get up to 1 million unsecured. You just walk to the bank with your pay slip, you get money, and you walk away. Before then, Honorable Luale, you remember, during Moi's regime, people are paying interest of up to 48%. Up to 48%, Mr. Speaker. But Kibaki was able to bring it down. So let's also respond to the demand in the market. We make credit access to Kenyans so that we can get a way around of helping Kenyans not to be subjected to this kind of mistreatment from these credit bureaus. So, Mr. Speaker, I fully support, and I hope the committee that will be tasked with looking into this petition can propose a law. We come up with a good law that will protect Kenyans and also allow those who want to do business of lending money to get the environment to do their business, but not to exploit poor Kenyans. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator William Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the petition on credit, not really credit institute. I think there is an issue here. I believe the credit institutions, most of them that operate are Shylocks, Honorable Speaker. Central Bank is not doing its job. I believe Central Bank are the ones who should ensure that the credit institutions that lend money, as Honorable Omkenya said, should be should be brought under the radar of central banks so that the interest rates they charge is not ridiculous, because people take their logbooks there, you take your title deed, basically, and they charge you an interest of maybe 30% per month, because there are people who have lost land, they have lost their vehicles because of these institutions, because they don't charge within the rates that have been set by central bank, because I believe now it's about 14 or 14.5%, 15%. So ISPAC is there as the institute that that ensures professionals in this sector, accountants, financial risk managers, and we have the insurance on the other side on the insurance risk to ensure that people are not taken advantage of. But I believe there is an issue. Central bank is not doing its own inspection role properly. This is what we need to interrogate, and not registration of the professionals, because these are financial institutions. I think there is an issue that we need to check here, Honorable Speaker, so that our people are not fleeced, are not taken advantage of, the property are not sold, because there are many people who have died because of being taken advantage by these banks. But, Honorable Speaker, this is a serious matter that the committee needs to look into. I believe it's the Committee on Finance and Planning, so that our people can be saved, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know Honorable Sotsi brought something about the ICD professionals on cybersecurity, and it's outside this. Actually, we pushed until we agreed, because there are some professionals also who don't have relevant papers in ICT, but they were fighting the bill. But I don't know what happened, because we pushed it until we passed it in National Assembly then. So I believe we can revive it, Honorable Sotsi, so that our sector can also be regulated. Honorable Speaker, on the Nyeri issue on the inspectors, I believe we need to push this House should come up with a resolution to compel the county government of Nyeri to employ those inspectors on permanent and pensionable like the rest of the counties. Otherwise, it's unfair that it's only 1 or 2 counties who do not take in the employees on permanent and pensionable, while the others have taken, and the money has already been sent to the Nyeri County government. So, Honorable Speaker, I support the 2 petitions, but this one on credit issues, we need to relook at it very critically so that we don't have to do other laws. If there is any need to amend the law that created ISPAC and CASNEP, we can relook into it and maybe do amendments to ensure that these guys who are running amok are taken care of well by the law. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Wola Beatrice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the petition by one Julius Wanjoy concerning the instructors that were employed by the Ministry of Education under the Economic Stimulus Program by the county government of Nyeri. Honorable Speaker, the Transition Authority was a legal entity that was put in place to ensure that everything was harmonized at the onset of devolution. And Honorable Speaker, it is important that the government speak to themselves, that these instructors under this program were employed to enhance the staffing at the vocational training. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I support that the instructors should be considered for retention by the county government of Nyeri, and they also be compensated. Honorable Speaker, these instructors, having been engaged by the ministry, and because Transition Authority was to harmonize all these operations, and as Senator Governor Mandago has stated just before me, all these staff were taken over by county governments all over the Republic. It is so then unfair that the Nyeri County government chose not to take, to retain this staff, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, it may be unfortunate that the Nyeri County government may have put aside these instructors only to advertise and employ others rather than retaining the ones that they have. And Honorable Speaker, that is why this must be considered, because we have to be fair to these instructors. Honorable Speaker, somebody was employed in 1989, having given services to the government and having given skills to the instructees. It is not fair that at some years after, they are not retained by a government that takes over. What is so peculiar in Nyeri County that other counties took over their staff, and that was the main purpose of the transition authority that was done, that was harmonized in most of the counties. I therefore support that this is looked into and the rights of these instructors is respected, and they be retained and they be compensated. And Honorable Speaker, I support.
Honorable Senators, I'll give a few more senators a chance to utilize the 30 minutes after I recognize these visitors. Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 65 students accompanied by 2 teachers from Waithaga Boys High School in Murang'a County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable Senators, in our issue tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator for Murang'a County.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to welcome the students and teachers of Waithaga Boys High School. This is a school located in my county of Murang'a, Mr. Speaker, in Wango Ward of Kiharu constituency. And this is a school that prides itself of having produced the first PhD holder in the country, Mr. Speaker, and that is Dr. Julius Gekonyo Kiano. And so, Mr. Speaker, even as I welcome this group of students and their honorable teachers, I want to encourage them that what Gekonyo Kiano did those many years is still possible. And there are others, Mr. Speaker, that come or that went through Waithaga Boys, and that is, we have Professor Kamoya, a professor in Eldoret University, Mr. Speaker, Professor Abel Macharia, amongst others. And also the former governor for Murang'a, whose political theatrics and styles I may not agree with, but whom I was honored by the people of Murang'a for 2 terms, went through the same school. And so I want to tell these young men that yes, the future is very bright for them, and that they are in the right school, and that this is a school, Mr. Speaker, that has been taking quite a number of students to the university also. 90 students in 2022, yes, and 75 in 2021. And so this is a school that is of performance. I want to ask you, my dear sons, that you should be obedient to your teachers. You should respect them. As a teacher myself, Mr. Speaker, I taught in high schools for quite a number of years, and I know that any student who works hard, respects their teachers and parents, and of course, have faith in God, is bound to make it. And so, Mr. Speaker, we know that up there, we have engineers seated there future members of the Senate and the National Assembly, and many, many other professions. And so, as you go back there, go knowing that you can come back to this house as a member, if not members. And Mr. Speaker, I think I do not want to take much time. I also want to congratulate the teachers for taking care of these young men, and through the principal, that we thank them for making the decision to come and visit the Senate. Here is where we make county our laws, especially those affecting counties, and indeed those affecting the nation at wide. So karibuni sana wavulana wa Withaga boys. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That's the wise counsel from. Were we a principal? Principal or me a teacher? Principal. What level?
That I never did any interview to be promoted to be principal. I knew I wanted to be in business, which I thank God I was able to get into, but I liked teaching Kiswahili. Mimi ni mwalimu wa Kiswahili na nilipenda sana fasihi ya Kiswahili. Asante mstahiki Speaker.
What is out of order, Senator Kajwang?
Mr. Speaker, it is very rare for the Speaker to be disorderly. In fact, it should never happen. I am a son of a teacher, and I heard you ask the distinguished senator from Murang'a whether he was a principal or a mere teacher. A teacher is a teacher. He is a great person who made us come to this house, who gave us the education we have, who gave us the knowledge we have. And Mr. Speaker, perhaps the most important teacher in our lives is the one who taught us how to read and write. Try teaching your child to read and write at home, Mr. Speaker.
You are out of order, Senator Kajwang. Resume your seat.
Mr. Speaker.
Let's proceed now with Senator Boni Karwale. We are going now back to the petitions. Senator Boni Karwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just as I rise to comment on this petition, allow me to help the Senator of Murang'a distinguished that you cannot mention the greatness of the leadership that has come from Murang'a without starting with the name of the real father of multi-party democracy in this country, Kenneth Njindo Matiba. Mr. Speaker, I support this petition by Mr. Magembe on the matter of credit rating. Not credit rating, but credit management. It is so important, and I think it was captured very well by the Senator of Nyamira. There are so many conmen who capitalize on only one thing. They capitalize on the amazing financial illiteracy that exists in this country. Anytime you are conned by any one of these people who purport to offer cheap credit, including Shylocks, it is a confirmation, Mr. Speaker, that you are financially illiterate. Mr. Speaker, money is so fundamental in life that we should find an instrument of actually infusing it into our syllabus so that our children start becoming financially literate as early as possible. And what is financial literacy? Every child, every Kenyan, to avoid this conman, you need to know that anytime you have some money, it doesn't have to be much, you have to know how to manage it. And that management includes, Mr. Speaker, an idea of how you will spend it. Mr. Speaker, which you people with fat English call budgeting. And beyond that, you should have knowledge of how to use the money, which you people call again in fat English, investing. We need these basic skills so that these people should be run out of business. Mr. Speaker, the thing is so serious that I remember 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was the disaster of pyramid schemes. The Ponzi schemes that existed in this country, some of them that were actually being perpetrated by elected members of parliament, capitalizing on, again, what I have called here financial illiteracy. I therefore want to appeal to the committee to take up this matter very seriously, because this gentleman is actually indicting parliament that we are sleeping on our job. We should do a watertight piece of legislation to throw these people completely out of business. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this petition very strongly.
Thank you, Majority Whip. Senator Mwenye Haji Mohamed.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa fursa ya kuunga mkono ardhi hali ambayo imeletwa bungeni na Julius Wairiuko wa Njohi kuhusiana na kutokutekelezwa kwa maazimio ya kuajiri wafanyikazi katika kaunti ya Nyeri. Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni masikitiko kwamba miaka 10 sasa wafanyikazi hao hawajaweza kuwekwa katika kazi na kaunti ya Nyeri. Mheshimiwa Spika, na kama tunavyojua Mheshimiwa Spika, stimulus package ilikwisha, serikali za kaunti zikaanza kazi na hawa wakasaulika kabisa kutokana na utepetevu wa serikali ya kaunti ya Nyeri. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa tu kuongezea kwa kazi wanaofanya hawa wakufunzi ni kazi muhimu, kwa sababu wale wote ambao hawafaulu kwenda kwa diploma colleges, kwenda university, wanajifundisha kazi za mikono kupitia hizi taasisi ambazo hawa wanafanya kazi. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kazi wanaofanya hawa ni muhimu sana, kwa sababu zile kazi zote za mikono, kazi za useremala, kazi za uwashi na nyinginezo, zote zinafundishwa na wakufunzi kama hawa. Na tumesema Mheshimiwa Spika, hata nafikiri imependekezwa kwa na 3% ya kodi ya nyumba. Zile nyumba ambazo zitajengwa zitahitajia watu kama hawa kuweza kuweka madirisha, kuweza kuweka milango na kazi za wiring ambazo haziwezi kufanyika Mheshimiwa Spika bila ya wataalamu kama hawa ambao wanajifunza katika kazi kama hizi. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni muhimu ardhi hali hii ifanywe kazi kwa haraka, kwa sababu tayari washangojea miaka 10. Na wale ambao wataamua Mheshimiwa Spika wahakikishe kwamba ile kazi ama ile mishahara imekuwa backdated kwa Kiingereza mpaka ile tarehe ambayo mkataba uliwekwa kati ya serikali za county na ile inaitwa Transition Authority ambao ilikuwa kwa mamlakani wakati wa mkataba ule ukitekelezwa, ili hawa Mheshimiwa Spika wasiweze kupoteza haki zao ambazo zilikuwa tayari zimekubalika, na utepetevu tu wa bunge la kaunti ya Nyeri ndio imefanya mpaka sasa isiweze kutekelezwa. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you, Senator David Wakoli.
Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru kwa nafasi hii. Ningependa kutoa hoja chache hususan kwa wachapakazi ambao walikuwa wanafanya kazi katika serikali ya Mheshimiwa marehemu Mwai Kibaki katika mfumo wa kuzindua ama kuamsha uchumi uliokuwa unazorota hapa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, watu hawa walichangia pakubwa. Wakati huo nilikuwa kiongozi wa vijana kule mashinani, na tuliweza kufanya kazi ya kupanda miti, kazi ya kuibua mitindo tofauti ya kukuza uchumi, ufugaji wa samaki na kadhalika. Na ni jambo la kusononesha sana kupata gavana ambaye ametoa uongozi na kuapa kwamba atafuata sheria na kanuni za katiba kuhakikisha kwamba kila Mkenya ambaye ana nafasi ya kazi anawajibika na vile vile anapata kipato kwa jasho lake. Haya vile vile Mheshimiwa Spika, yanadhihirika wakati huu wa serikali. Kuna wale wauguzi ambao wanahudumu chini ya mfumo wa UHC ambao mkataba wao umekamilika Ijumaa iliyopita, na tukipiga kurunzi nyuma, tunaona kwamba Mheshimiwa Rais na serikali yake walikuwa na mkutano kule Naivasha na magavana wakiahidi kwamba hawa chapakazi wa hudumu wa afya wataendelea kufanya kazi pasipo bugdha yote. Ifikiapo sasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, wauguzi hawa hawajui mbele wala nyuma, hawajui hatima yao iko wapi, na sisi kama serikali na sisi kama jumba la Senate, kazi yetu ni kudhibiti na kutetea ugatuzi. Wachapakazi kama hawa wahudumu wa afya na wale ambao wameleta hoja zao kwenye jumba hili la Senate lazima wapewe haki yao, walipwe jinsi inavyotakikana, ili mfumo wa afya na mfumo wa taasisi za vijana Kenya hii ziweze kupata nafasi inayostahiki na mgao wao wa bajeti katika serikali ya nchi ya Kenya. Kwa hayo machache, Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono utetezi wa Kenya huyu na kuomba kamiti inayohusika iweze kumuita gavana ama vitengo vya kaunti vijieleze ni kwa nini wanaendelea kuwanyanyasa wa Kenya ambao wamejitolea kufanya kazi japo kupata kipato kidogo. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Maruma Jones.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa hii fursa ili kuchangia hili ombi ama petition ya Magembe inayohusiana na umuhimu wa kutunga sera, sheria na kanuni za kudhibiti wale ambao wanafanya kazi katika soko la ukopeshaji. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni bayana ya kwamba kuna uhitaji wa pesa na kuna umaskini katika jamii, lakini watu wengi ambao wameenda kukopa pesa kwa yale mashirika ambayo yako nje ya benki ama sheria za benki wamepata dhiki badala ya kupata faida. Kwa hivyo kuna umuhimu wa kutunga sera na sheria za kutoa mwongozo kwa wale ambao wanakopesha pesa. Kwa mfano, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuwe na sheria za kuangazia wale ambao wanakopesha wawe na sifa za aina gani. Pia tuwe na sera ya kuangazia wale ambao wanakopesha ni riba aina gani watakayotoa kwa wananchi, kwa sababu kuna watu wanakopesha pesa na vile wenzangu ambao wametangulia kuongea wanakopesha kwa riba ambayo ni ya juu sana. Hawa wanaitwa kwa kimombo Shylocks. Unapata unapewa pesa katika riba ya 30% kwa mwezi. Hiyo ni riba ya juu sana, lakini kwa vile una shida, labda una shida kutoa karo ya mtoto wako, wengi wamejipata taabani wakakopa hiyo pesa na wakashindwa kulipa. Kule kwetu, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna mtu alikopa pesa, lakini kwa vile hajapata mafunzo mufti, alifanya ile nyumba yake kuwa hoteli. Mheshimiwa Spika, alitumia ile pesa vibaya. Asubuhi anapikia watoto chai na mayai na chapati na mahamri. Ikifika ni wakati wa chakula cha mchana, Mheshimiwa Spika, anapikia watoto wake pilau na biriani na chapati wachague. Wakati alimaliza ama ilifikia wakati wa kulipa ile pesa na akashindwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, wale wakopeshaji walikuja wakang'oa mabati. Ikawa ile familia ina nyumba lakini haina mabati. Wakachukua ng'ombe, wakachukua mifugo. Kwa hivyo kuna umuhimu, Mheshimiwa Spika, na naunga mkono hili ombi la Magembe ya kwamba tuweke sera na sheria za kudhibiti hii soko ya kukopesha ambayo saizi haina udhibiti, ili watu wetu tuwatoe katika dhiki na wapate faida. Na ile kamati ambayo itaangazia haya maswala, tunataka sasa waje na sheria kabisa ambayo itaongoza ama na kudhibiti soko ya ukopeshaji ya hawa Shylocks na hizi SMEs ndogo ndogo. Nashukuru kwa nafasi, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Senators, our 30 minutes window for the petitions over, but I want to give 2 minutes to Senator Esther Anyeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that consideration. And I felt I should actually speak to this matter specifically because most of those instructors were young people. And in my earlier life, before I actually came to the Senate, I passionately worked in the TVET sector, in the office of the Deputy President, then in the Strategy and Delivery Unit. And most of the work we actually did was encouraging young people to join some of these institutions. And there are so many institutions which are youth polytechnics that have actually done very well. Look at a case of Mapimo Vocational Training Center in Kilifi. I personally went there and saw the work that instructors were doing. So when I actually listened to this petition today, I'm very saddened and cease to actually have the patience. Because when you look at the facts of this matter, the petitioners have even gone to court to seek redress. Even the court resolutions that were actually done in May 2020 were not in any way giving them reprieve. So, Mr. Speaker, if indeed education is the key, why do they make it expensive for young people who are already frustrated in this country? Mr. Speaker, Nyeri County government should actually pay these instructors. These instructors were only being paid an amount of 2,720 shillings, which is very little money if you ask me. And these instructors were just 590 youth instructors who are serving this country passionately. And for this matter to come to this house as a petition to actually beg that they need to be paid is a really sad scenario. Youth polytechnics play a very big role in this country, and we've actually seen some of the products that actually come from the polytechnics. We encourage young people to pursue education. Those who do not get a chance to join university education continue to the polytechnics and the TTIs that are at the bottommost part of our society. So if we want to treat such instructors in this manner, what hope do we have for people who are studying to impart these skills? And as the Kenya Kwanza government, our priority has been on equipping young people with skills so that they are self-reliant. As the good senator for Mombasa mentioned, that in the housing program that we have been talking about, priority will be given to those young people who are partaking training in the youth polytechnics, the TTIs, the vocational training centers. So really, as a house, we need to pronounce ourselves on this matter. I don't think it should take so many years to pay instructors who are just being paid 2,790 shillings, more than 10 years to actually be compensated. They have gone to court using money, no redress. It's really sad, a sad scenario, Mr. Speaker. So I support this petition with my 2 feet, and I'm a very frustrated young person speaking this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the next order. Honorable Senators, the petition concerning enactment of legislation to regulate the credit profession is committed to the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, and the other petition by the petitioner from Nyeri, Mr. Julius Wajoi, stands committed to the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. And Honorable Senators, in terms of standing order 2-82, the 2 committees are required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report and addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 5, Papers.
Majority Whip.
Clerk. What do I do? There's no mic. Oh,
Senator
thank you.
Garware.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What is happening to your eyes?
I was not seeing the light, so
Okay, proceed.
I beg your pardon. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of this Senate. Today, the 24th of May, 2023. Being, Mr. Speaker, reports of the Auditor General for the year ended 30th of June, 2022, on the financial statements of the following. 1. Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC. Kisii County Emergency Fund, Kisii County Loans and Mortgage Fund, Demonstration Farm Fund Kisii, Kisii County Veterinary Services Development Fund, Kisii County Government Revenue Fund, receiver of revenue statements of the County Government of West Pokot. 8. Tharaka Nithi County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme, Tharaka Nithi County Youth Empowerment Fund, Turkana County Biashara Fund, Trans Nzoia County Nawiri Fund, Elgeyo Marakwet County Revenue Fund, Elgeyo Marakwet County Executive Car and Mortgage Revolving Fund, County Assembly of Nyamira, County Executive of Nyamira, and 16, Mr. Speaker, Kajiado County Government Revenue Fund, Kajiado County Government Receiver of Revenue, Kajiado County Disability Mainstreaming Fund, and number 19, Taita Taveta County Revenue Fund, Nandi County Government Revenue Fund, Lolotresh, Loikotikotiko Water Sanitation Company Limited, Kilifi County Ward Scholarship Fund, Uasin Gishu County Emergency Fund, Municipality of Kitale, Kitui County Textile Center, Ruiru Juja Water and Sewerage Company Limited, and Mr. Speaker, number 27, Nyamira County Executive Mortgage and Car Loan Scheme Fund, Nyamira County Assembly Car and Mortgage Loan Scheme Fund, Nyamira County Education Bursary Fund, Nyamira County Emergency Fund. Mr. Speaker, number 13, Malindi Water and Sewerage Water Company, Kilifi County Emergency Fund, Receiver of Revenue Statements for Kilifi County Government, Kilifi Mariakani Water and Sewerage Company Limited, Iten Municipality, and finally, Mr. Speaker, but not least, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Iten Municipality for the year ended 30th of June, 2021. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I lay the papers.
Thank you, Majority Whip. Let's go next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
We have two notices. The first one from the majority leader. Who has that missing? That motion? Notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to consult. This is a rare motion where we want to change the calendar of the House. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give notice of the following motion. Being an alteration of the dates specified for the sittings of the Senate pursuant to Standing Order number 2032. that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on the 16th of February 2023 and on the 29th of March 2023, and pursuant to Standing Order number 32, which is on the approval of the Senate calendar for regular sessions for the second session of 2022, the Senate resolves to adjourn pursuant to Standing Order number 31/2 at the rise of the Senate on Tuesday, 30th May 2023, and to resume thereafter its sittings on Wednesday, 31st of May 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next notice of motion by Senator Mohamed Faki. Senator wa Mombasa, unapeana notisi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I give you notice of motion on urban planning for sustainable living. That aware that rapid urbanization as experienced in most Kenyan towns contributes to a significant portion of greenhouse gas emissions, leading to environmental degradation. Further aware that factors associated with urbanization, including changes to a more sedentary lifestyle, diet, and environment, have resulted in an increase in the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, such as cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and cancer. Appreciating that prioritizing sustainability and environmental responsibility creates livable, healthy, and resilient communities for present and future generations. Is that correct? Now, therefore, the Senate asks the Minister of Roads and Transport to review the standards for construction of public roads to require the incorporation of dedicated lanes and tracks for exclusive use by non-motorized forms of transport to encourage their use for reduced air and noise pollution and improved overall public health. Number two, the Minister of Environment and Forestry and the Minister of Roads and Transport, in collaboration with the Council of Governors, to develop a policy framework to mitigate the impact of climate change by guiding a dedication of sections of the respective CBDs on specified days as car-free zones to encourage more walking and a healthier lifestyle. B, designation and maintenance of green spaces such as parks and community gardens within urban centers. And C, sensitization of the public on sustainable living and environmental responsibility. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Next order. That's the next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We have several statements under Standing Order 53-1. We start with the Senator for Kiambu County, Senator Karungo Dhango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I seek your indulgence because after careful deliberation and due consideration, I wish to withdraw that statement and in place of it approach your office so that I can change from Standing Order 53 to Standing Order 52. Thank you.
Very well. Next is Senator for Lam County, Senator Joseph Kamau.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53, subsection 1, to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the compulsory acquisition of land by the government in Lamu County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, clarify whether the government is planning to compulsorily acquire more than 400 acres of land in Maisha Masha, Jipendeni, Bopwe, Rumshi, and Sinambio areas in Lamu County. And if so, indicate the time frame for the said acquisition and whether the said acquisition will be in line with the Article 40, subsection 3 of the Constitution of Kenya and all other statutes related to the compulsory acquisition of land. Number 2, outline the measures the National Land Commission has taken to ensure transparency in assessing the value of the land to be acquired. Number 3, state whether the National Land Commission has conducted open and transparent public inquiries into the ownership of the land. And number 4, indicate the form of compensation contemplated in the said acquisition and the measures put in place to ensure fair and prompt compensation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You want to make a statement on, comment on this statement? Okay, proceed. But brief comments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to congratulate Senator Kituku, our newest member of Kenya Kwanza Coalition under Jubilee. Mr. Speaker, there is no day that goes without issue of compulsory acquisition. Yesterday we saw about Kabunde Street, I think Senator Ogola.
Senator Chalagay, there is a point of order from Senator Ososi.
Oh, my neighbor. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't want to interrupt my friend and my neighbor, Cheregei, but he has raised a very fundamental issue of saying that the senator for Lamu belongs to Jubilee, which is under Kenya Kwanza Coalition. When we know very well, Jubilee has a signed coalition pact with Azimio, and there is no indication or any evidence to show that they have exited the coalition. Is in order?
Yes. Senator Cheregei, are you in order?
Mr. Speaker, under the law, you either do it expressly or implied. Impliedly, Jubilee at the moment works closely with Kenya Kwanza. And it is unfortunate that Senator Odsoti, who is my neighbor, from Sasa going to Vihiga, when it fits them, they say Jubilee is part of them. When it does not fit them, they say Jubilee is not part of Azimio. So they should be fair to Kenyans that they cannot have their cake and eat it, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, you under Article 40 on the protection of right to property, the issue of compulsory acquisition, Mr. Speaker, has been decided by courts. I remember the case of Cherunya's case in Eldoret, where government took over.
Senator, you executed your point of order. Are you on another one?
Mr. Speaker, you know, I've listened to his response to my point of order, and he has even created room for further point of order from me. Because, Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record, and we go with the evidence that is there. Jubilee, as it is now, regardless of what is happening outside there, is a member of Azimio coalition. And that's why the members of Azimio are seated on this other side. They have not gone on the other side. So it should go in record to this house that Azimio is still a member of Jubilee coalition. And when a senior member like Cheregei, who is also very close to the house on the hill, can come here and say Jubilee belongs to Kenya Kwanza, I think that's a very material statement that requires further interrogation by this House. So is he in order to mislead this House that Jubilee is in Kenya Kwanza, when legally, even at the office of the Registrar of Political Party, we know that Jubilee, the legal one, led by former President Uhuru Kenyatta, still belongs to Azimio coalition, and is a fact.
Okay. There is another point of order from Senator Kamau Joseph Giduku.
Yes, can you go on record and say the next?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sometimes I wonder, when these people called the ODM people, or Azimio members, Mr. Speaker, I don't deny I'm a part of the Azimio, but Mr. Speaker, right now in your table there is a letter that has been written by the whip of the Azimio side. Mr. Speaker, they want to whip us from the committees. They are saying that we don't belong to the coalition. Mr. Speaker, and when it comes to what maybe suits them, Mr. Speaker, they start claiming that we own them, Mr. Speaker, that we are on their coalition side. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that if they really believe that we are part of Azimio, Mr. Speaker, they should withdraw that letter that they had written about trying to whip us from the committees, Mr. Speaker. But meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, we have shown the interest of working with the government because, Mr. Speaker, we believe that working with the government, that is the only time that, Mr. Speaker, this government can be able to deliver the manifesto and, Mr. Speaker, work for the people that elected us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these people, Mr. Speaker, need to stop being hypocrite. They are big hypocrites, and, Mr. Speaker, I want to say and state here categorically that, Mr. Speaker, the Azimio members must stop being hypocrite because they're hypocrite, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kamau, Senator Kamau, Senator Mohammed, if I wants to inform you, I don't know what he wants to inform you. Do you want to be informed by Senator Mohammed Faki?
Mr. Speaker, Senator of Mombasa is part of the team that is trying to undermine us, Mr. Speaker. I don't want him to inform me anything because, Mr.
Okay, fine.
I believe that they are part of the cartel that is trying to whip us from the committees. And, Mr. Speaker, these people need to be sincere. They need to be sincere. If at all they need us, Mr. Speaker, they must be genuine. They should stop being the way they are, Mr. Speaker, because they are hypocrites of the highest order. And that's the reason, Mr. Speaker, Baba will never be the president of this country.
Thank you. Senator, let me get two more points of orders, then we finish. Senator Kajwang Moses.
Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Lamu brought a very useful statement, which I thought he would dignify so that we can get a solution to the problems facing the people of Lamu. The issue of compulsory acquisition, the issue of broken promises, the issue of the marginalization of the people of Lamu over the years. Mr. Speaker, I would ordinarily have responded to Senator Cherargei's preamble before he went into the substantive issues. In fact, I would have encouraged Senator Osotsi to ignore Senator Cherargei and treat his comments with the contempt that it deserves, because he does not speak for the majority side. He is not the leader of majority. He is not the deputy leader of majority. He is not the whip. He is not the deputy whip. He is not the chair of a committee. And so I want to encourage Senator Osotsi and the members on the minority side that those are personal comments that should be ignored and treated with the contempt that it deserves. Mr. Speaker, finally, I want to advise my good friend, the Senator for Lamu, that when you are being whipped from a committee, it does not have to be because of infidelity. It could be because of incapacity. You are not performing. You are not performing. It is not infidelity. And so it is a right of the minority side. If you are put to perform, for example, in the Agriculture Committee, and you are not performing, then you can be removed. So Senator for Lamu must know that any decision on the whipping is not because of their infidelity, which is a matter of public knowledge. It is an issue of their individual incapacity to do the work that they are supposed to do.
You know, today I'm a bit generous on this point of order. Senator Medu.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant. These days you told us to be quoting the standing order that we think is out of order. And I want to quote 101, contents of speech 101.3. It shall be out of order to use offensive or insulting language, whether in respect of senators or other persons. Mr. Speaker, I find it very offensive that my good chair, Senator Kajwang, finds colleagues not of the capacity to serve in any committee. I believe, Mr. Speaker, all of us are gifted differently, but none of us, you cannot say that those of us who are elected, or specially elected, there is any of us that came here by mistake or by accident, and there is any of us that does not have any capacity to serve anywhere, in any committee, in any capacity, in any role. In any case, Mr. Speaker, for him to insinuate that Senator Cherargei cannot speak for anybody is again an insult to our side. Senator Cherargei is a very senior member of our side. He's a very senior member of our coalition. He may not have, Mr. Speaker, this is a big lesson, that a person as senior as Senator Cherargei has given us an opportunity to serve as chairman of committees. He has all the capacity, he has all the abilities to serve as a chairman, to serve as a leader of majority, to serve as the deputy leader of majority, to serve as the chief whip, to serve as... But for him, he has taken the teachings of Jesus. For you to become a big person, you must be humble. He has taken humility, and it should not be taken as a weakness, Mr. Speaker. I thank you very much.
Chair, security.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Senator of Lamu is a member of my committee. Mr. Speaker, Senator Thuku, as a member of my committee, Mr. Speaker, has demonstrated a high degree of representation in that committee. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kachwang?
Airports and airstrips, including Kakamega Airport, which I think is one of the airports that is under extension. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Catherine Weka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this, to the statement by Senator Beatrice Ogola on the issue of the compensation of those who gave their land for the building of the airstrip. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure development is a vital enabler for the growth of any economy. And it is important that even as we have recognized this in our blueprint, Vision 2030, we operate in such a way that when we come up with infrastructure development, we don't have a lot of delays because of failure to consult with communities or failure to effectively compensate communities for giving up spaces in order for this infrastructure to be put in place. Mr. Speaker, even as we speak about compensation of land, I wish to bring it to the attention of this House that that will just be a bandage approach to addressing the issues of development infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, I have, in an earlier moment in this House, indicated that there is a need for this country to come up with a social risk management mechanism to ensure that beyond the environmental assessments that we do before we do development infrastructure, that we need to expand to also do the social risk to development and the need to assess the social impacts of the infrastructure that we come up with, so that when we come up with a need to put up an airstrip or an airport in any place, we will do the due diligence in terms of social consultation with the communities, so that when that infrastructure happens, everybody is happy. The communities who've given land are compensated. The communities who are going to be impacted have asked questions about what this will portend for them, and the infrastructure development is able to proceed without a problem. Mr. Speaker, as we do so, we need to also take it serious so that this does not come by way of just petition. It is a serious political, political and policy concern that the government needs to embark on, so that we avoid having to bring another statement on Kakamega airstrip or another statement on Busia airstrip, because we will have had a national policy that holistically addresses these issues. Mr. Speaker, the airport infrastructure is so key and in our country underutilized, underappreciated. For instance, we have Kisumu Airport and Eldoret airports, which, if they had routes to Europe directly for horticulture, you would enable the Western Kenya region, which is also a strong agricultural region, to actually have trade, and that trade will strengthen the economy, and that economy will take on jobs, and we will achieve what all of us want to achieve. So I wish to support and say that beyond what the statement says, that we need to consider issues of social risk management in the development of infrastructure and provide a holistic law that can protect both communities and investors in this infrastructure development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator Mutata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity to address the House, and I stand to support the two statements by the two eminent senators. On air travel, it cannot have stated that the country is long overdue. And I think, given the nature of land in this country, we would require that each county at this stage should be able to set aside at least 200 to 300 acres for the development not just of an airstrip, but an airport. Because going forward, time is of essence, and air transport is one way that you claw back on the limitations that time imposes on the physical body. So I would be urging that in supporting the statement on the airport or airstrip, that we should aim higher and ensure that every county has an airport, not just an airstrip, so that we can carry slightly bigger planes that can be integrated in the CIDPs of those counties in terms of transporting goods and produce. And as Senator Catherine has said, even for export to the international market. As regards disputes between boundary disputes between counties, there are many and they need to be addressed urgently. Right now, we also have a dispute between Siaya and Busia County over the Yala Swamp that needs to be addressed. We have disputes all over. I'm even involved I'm involved in litigation involving 3 counties, that's Taita Taveta, Kwale, and Makwiny, over where the boundaries lie. So this is a matter that is really serious, and I think we should expand the statement to provide for solutions to all these other county boundaries, so that the people can know where to pay taxes. The question of double taxation is a very painful one, and it's one that should not be allowed, that 2 counties can force a trader to pay taxes to both of them, just because the government, and the national government, has failed in its mandate to mark out, to put down beacons where these county governments should end their jurisdiction and where the other one should begin. So with those few remarks, I support the two statements, and I also support the request by Senator Kajwang that is a bill on county boundaries should be fast-tracked. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Last but not the least, Senator Chesang, 2 minutes. Alan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also make my contribution. I rise to support Senator Beatrice's statement on expansion of airstrips. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I think it will be a bit unfair for my learned friend, Senator Tom Ojienda, to stand before the House and talk about expansion of Kisumu International Airport, whereas we have other counties with actually not even, we don't have airstrips. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we speak, the only flight that flies to Kitale, Trans Nzoia, Safari Link, has actually opted to stop their flights from 9th June. This is because the airstrip is small. So I want to support this statement by saying that this should be an issue that the national government should take as a priority because of issues that Senator Mumo has said, and Trans Nzoia being also the breadbasket of this country, Mr. Speaker, sir. And we have floriculture, we have people planting different types of crops. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government, the national government should take priority with, to expand airstrips such as Trans Nzoia airstrip. Senator has talked about the Baringo airstrip and the small airstrips that are there in this country, not concentrating on international airports like Kisumu airports. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I rise to support this statement. Thank you very much.
Honorable Senators, I want us to reorganize the business. The business appearing as under number 8 is deferred to Now we go to under number 9 and 10. We handle them simultaneously in the committee of the whole.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole on the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023. Order number 10, Committee of the Whole on the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022.
Honorable Senators, when the committee of the whole is called, Senators should stand up. Senior Boni Karwale.
Honorable, we are in the Committee of the Whole for the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bills, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that Clause 2 be part of the bill. Mover.
Thank you, Chair. As indicated in the order paper, in reference to Clause 2, which seeks to delete the words 13,893,791,604 appearing immediately after the words Kenya shillings and substituting therefore the words 10,330,317,433. The reason is, Madam Chair, because when we table this bill first, and as a committee, the outstanding balance for equalization fund was amounting to 13 billion. The total sum is actually 52 billion. When I moved this bill, I clearly explained and indicated what was approved was 26 billion. And out of the 26 billion, only 12 billion had been remitted. And so the outstanding is supposed to be 13 billion. In our deliberations as a committee, what was approved by National Treasury in the supplementary budget was 10 billion. And we felt, in the wisdom of the committee, that we first receive the 10 billion, and hence the outstanding balance of the 3 billion will be included in the 23 billion balance, and so the outstanding balance is 26 billion. And so we decided, let us first receive what has been approved. And hence, that is what we are seeking in this particular Clause 2 amendment, which has further affected the schedule of each and every county as far as the distributions are concerned, just as far as the less 3 billion is concerned. Not that this money is not going to be remitted, but the timeliness is what we considered as a committee. And through that, Madam Chair, I beg to move.
I propose the question that Clause 2 be amended as proposed. I put the question that Clause 2 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I propose the question that Clauses 3, 4, 5, and 6 be part of the bill. I put the question that Clauses 3, 4, 5, and 6 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
The schedule.
I propose that the question that the schedule be part of the bill. Mover.
Madam Chair, pursuant to Standing Order 153, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate number 3, 2023, and seeks leave to sit again tomorrow. Honorable Chair, at this point, I do beg that the schedule be amended as per the order paper.
I propose the question that the schedule be amended as proposed. I put the question that the schedule be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
The title and clause 1.
I propose the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. Division at the end. Members, we have finished canvassing the clauses on the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 23. Here. I call on the mover.
Honorable Chair, at this point, pursuant to Standing Order 153, I do beg that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Equalization Fund Bill, Bill number 3 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. Thank you.
I put the question that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, and seek leave to sit tomorrow. As many as are of the similar opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Honorable Senators.
Next bill. Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole for the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. I put the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that Clause 4 be part of the bill. The Chair,
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 4 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Chair.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 5 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 6.
Chair.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 6 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 7.
Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 7 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose that the question that clause 7 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 7 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 8, an amendment to heading of part 2.
I propose the question that clause 8 be amended to heading of part 2 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 8 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 8 and amendment to heading of part 2 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 8 and amendment to heading of part 2 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 9.
I propose the question that clause 9 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 9 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 9 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 9 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 10.
I propose the question that clause 10 be part of the bill. Chair.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 10 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 10 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 10 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 11.
I propose the question that clause 11 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 11 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 11 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 11 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 12.
I propose the question that clause 12 be part of the bill. Chair.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 12 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 12 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 12 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 13.
I propose the question that clause 13 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 13 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 13 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 13 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 14.
I propose the question that clause 14 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 14 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 14 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 14 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 15.
I propose the question that clause 15 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 15 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 16.
I propose the question that clause 16 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 16 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 16 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 16 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 17.
I propose the question that clause 17 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that that clause 17 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 17 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 17 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 18.
I propose the question that clause 18 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 18 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 18 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 18 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 19.
I propose the question that clause 19 be part of the bill. I put the question that clause 19 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 20 in relation to the heading of part 3.
I propose the question that clause 20 in relation to the heading of part 3 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 20 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 20 in relation to the heading of part 3 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 20 in relation to the heading of part 3 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 21.
I propose the question that clause 21 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 21 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 21 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 21 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 22.
I propose the question that clause 22 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 22 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 22 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 22 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 23 to 26.
I propose the question that clauses 23 to 26 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 23 to 26 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 27.
I propose the question that clause 27 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 27 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 27 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 27 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 28.
I propose the question that clause 28 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 28 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 29.
I propose the question that clause 29 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 29 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 29 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 29 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 30.
I propose that clause 30 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 30 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose that the question that clause 30 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 30 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 31.
I propose the question that clause 31 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 31 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 31 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 31 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 32 and 33.
I propose the question that clauses 32 and 33 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 32 and 33 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 34.
I propose the question that clause 34 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 34 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 34 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 34 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clauses 35 to 37.
I propose the question that clauses 35 to 37 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 35 to 37 be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 38.
I propose the question that clause 38 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 38 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 38 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 38 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 2 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. The division at the end.
The title.
I propose the question that the title be part of the bill. I put the question that the title be part of the bill. Division at the end.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that clause 1 be amended as proposed in the order paper.
I propose the question that clause 1 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 1 be amended as proposed. Division at the end. I now call upon the mover to report on progress.
Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order 153, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2022, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
I put the question that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. Will as many as are of the similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. That's it,
So,
Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Equalization Fund Appropriation Senate Bills number 3 of 2023 and seeks leave to sit again tomorrow.
Mover. This is the Equalization Fund.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate number 3, 2023, and I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report.
Who is seconding the motion? Mover. Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion, the bill as moved.
I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. As many as those of the similar opinion say aye. Aye. As those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Let's go to the next bill, the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022. Chair.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, and 6 leave to sit again tomorrow.
Mover.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report, and the Senator for Busia shall second.
Senator Okiya Omtatah.
I second.
I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. As many as of the similar opinion say aye. Aye. As those of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023, second reading, resumption of debate interrupted on Wednesday, 3rd May 2023.
Honorable Senators, the business under order number 11 is defunct. Next order.
Order number 12, the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Bed Sengo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to move the bill on cotton. And the object of this bill is to provide for policy and institutional framework within which cotton industry operates by establishing Cotton Development Board of Kenya.
Sorry, Senator Sengo. Maybe get close to the table for some guidance.
Now it seems I'll change the title, Madam Speaker.
Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I raise to move the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bill number 5 of 2023. And Madam Speaker, to be read for the second time. Madam Speaker, let me give the object of the bill. The object of this bill is to provide for policy and institutional framework within which cotton industry operates by establishing Cotton Development Board. Madam Speaker, when I was growing up, cotton was being grown in this country, and cotton was one of the major foreign exchange earner. And so many communities in Kenya used cotton to earn a living. But the collapse of the cotton brought a lot of massive losses to the government and to the farmers. Lack of a cotton development board has led to so many challenges of cotton industry. Cotton has been classified as a food. It has been classified with cowpeas, sukuma wiki, dania, and clumped together under the management of AFA. And this has made it very difficult to manage and to regulate cotton industry. Madam Speaker, there is genuine need for a strong and robust policy and institutional foundation to support and guide the multitude of activities, operations, interactions within the industry with the aim of strengthening agricultural economy for the various counties across the country. Looking at cotton industry, Madam Speaker, there are about 6 regions that can grow cotton, and were growing cotton before. And if cotton industry is revived, this will support the economy of the country, will empower farmers, and will ensure that farmers will be able to take their children to school, will earn living, and actually this cotton that acts as a cash crop will bring a lot of revenue to the country. Madam Speaker, this bill aims at revamping the cotton farming in order to make it profitable, sustainable, development-oriented activity. And so, at this point, I would request that this bill is debated and we see how we can support the country through reviving the cotton industry. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request Senator from Bungoma to second.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuchangia yaliyosemwa na Spika Betsengo. Mimi kama mojawapo wa wanachama wa komiti ya ukulima na uchumi samawati, tuliweza kuzuru pembe mbalimbali za nchi ya Kenya ambazo zimeweza kihistoria na kitafiti kuthibitishwa kwamba ni maeneo ambayo pamba inaweza kuzwa, pamba inaweza vunwa na vile vile kutengenezwa kwa bidhaa mbalimbali. Yale ambayo yamedhihirika fika, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba kudorora kwa idara ya pamba Kenya hii ni kwa sababu ya ufisadi, mfumo mbaya uongozi, vile vile kutogharamika kwa serikali kwa kuwapa wakulima pembejeo na ujuzi ama taaluma ya kisasa kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya inaenenda kibiashara na kiuchumi na nchi za kimataifa ambazo zimebobea katika upanzi na uvunaji na kutengeneza bidhaa mbalimbali katika bara la Afrika na nchi nzima. Katika maeneo ya Kitui tuliweza kuzuru kiwanda ambacho kilibuniwa mwaka 1983 ambacho kinaongozwa na uzao wa tatu wa familia ya Kihindi. Ukija kule Bungoma tuliweza kuzuru kiwanda cha Malakisi, tukaenda kule Busia tukazuru kiwanda cha Mulwanda, na hivi ni viwanda ambavyo vina uwezo mkubwa wa kutengeneza bidhaa mbalimbali kama mavazi, kama vyakula vya mifugo na vile vile mafuta kama dizeli ambayo hutumika na magari. Mimi naunga sisi kama tume ya kamati ya ukulima na jumba la Senate ni lazima tuwekeze katika upanzi wa pamba kama mojawapo wa vitega uchumi ili Kenya iweze kujimudu katika sekta ya kutengeneza mavazi na mambo mbalimbali. Tukiangalia katika mapato ambayo serikali ilikuwa inapata siku za awali, yamedidimia hayo mapato kwa sababu ya utepetevu. Na hii falsafa ama mfumo, sheria na kanuni ambazo mswada huu unaleta ni kuhakikisha kwamba kuna uwajibikaji katika uongozi wa viwanda hivi. Vile vile serikali za kaunti zimepewa majukumu ya kuwapa mbegu na pembejeo wakulima hawa, ili maeneo ya Nyanza ambayo kuna kiwanda ama taasisi ya uchunguzi na utafiti wa upanzi wa pamba uweze kuimarishwa maradufu ili Wakenya waendelee kunufaika. Kwa hayo machache, Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba kuunga mkono mswada wa Mheshimiwa Seth Siengo. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Cotton Industry Development Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2023, be now read a second time. I now call upon senators to contribute. For the mover, there's no one contributing. There's no one wishing to contribute to this. Okay, settle down, senators, quickly. Senator Kajwang' Moses.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support the Cotton Industry Development Bill that has been sponsored by Senator Beth Siengo, and I want to congratulate Senator Beth for making this her maiden bill. Mr. Speaker, cotton is a very important raw material. It is a very important driver of economies where cotton has been taken seriously. The county that I represent, Homabay, was one of the leading growers of cotton in this country. Mr. Speaker, cotton has been part of our spiritual journey. It has been part of our academic journey, part of our economic journey. Spiritual journey in the sense that when Pastor Kaskalen came to the hills of Kindu to set up the first Seventh-day Adventist church in Homabay on the shores of Lake Victoria, Pastor Kaskalen introduced the people of Homabay to cotton growing. Whereas in the past, the people of Homabay made their garments using readily available material, cotton was not part of it. We made our garments using hides and skins. We made our garments using paper derived from the papyrus that was abundant around the lake. When Pastor Kaskalen and Pastor Nyasa from Zambia, either Zambia or Malawi, came, they introduced us to mass growing of cotton. The chiefs then realized that these religious leaders had not come to steal their land and had not come to colonize them, had not come to belittle them as Africans. And our people in Homabay took up cotton growing, it spread, as a result of its spread, the church also spread. That is why I'm saying it's part of our spiritual journey. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, cotton has been part of our economic journey because it allowed our people to get into the cash economy. Prior to that, we were trading using barter, and that is the reason why one of the counties in Kenya is called Kisumu. Kisumu is derived from the Luo word Kisuma, and Kisuma is really about barter. Our people would come with fish from Homa Bay, walk over to Kisumu, and exchange the fish with other delicacies that the people of that area produced. But because of cotton, the concept of cash was introduced to our people. As a result, we had the first bank accounts, we had the first people who could be able to go to shops and buy items to put up more modern structures. Cotton has been part of our academic journey. Many of us have been educated as a result of the proceeds of cotton. If it wasn't for cotton, probably many people, perhaps the first or second generation, after colonialism and after the arrival of the church in our region, would not have made it to school because their parents perhaps would not have been able to afford the school fees. Cotton has been part of our urban centers and our urban structures. When you drive along the roads of the cotton growing areas, you'll find centers called store pamba. Now, store pamba simply means cotton store or store ya pamba. And so you'll find in Homa Bay a center called store pamba, in Kisumu a center called store pamba. And one thing that is unique about the store pambas is that they are huge warehouses where people used to bring and aggregate their cotton for it to be delivered onwards to the ginneries and to the people who would process it and add value to it. Madam Speaker, that was the landscape in Kenya, that was a landscape in Homa Bay, in Busia, in Kitui, and in several other counties, until we succumbed to pressure to liberalize our economy, to open the floodgates to second-hand imports into this country. That killed the cotton industry once and for all. Madam Speaker, even though we are always very quick to blame the IMF and the structural adjustment programs of that era, there were also a lot of local blunders, local political decisions that we made that led to cotton being on the brink of collapse. Madam Speaker, in this country, it is thought that fertilizer is only for maize farmers. No one ever thinks of providing fertilizer to growers of cotton, growers of cashew nut, and growers of other agricultural products. Everyone thinks that the farmers in Rift Valley, the North Rift, and Trans-Nzoia, Kitale, and those areas should be given seed, should be given fertilizer. No one ever imagines that to the fish farmer, the person with a fish pond or with a fish cage, to them fertilizer is equivalent to fish feed. No one is giving them fish feed. No one is giving our poultry farmers free feed or subsidized feed the same way we are doing to maize farmers. I am making this narration to reflect that the cotton farmers were completely ignored and disregarded by the government of the day. A lot of focus was on maize farmers in Kitale, in Rift Valley. When it came to cotton farmers, they were left on their own. As a result, cotton became untenable because the variety of cotton that we had required to be sprayed several times. The farms needed to be weeded several times. And Madam Speaker, an interesting story that my father told me before he passed on, he told me that the families of the days back, because of polygamy, families had a huge labor force. When the children were deployed to the cotton farms, they could cover acres upon acres in a day in terms of weeding, or in terms of spraying, or in terms of picking the cotton. And when you're harvesting cotton, Madam Speaker, for those who have not had that experience, if you harvest 1 acre of cotton, by the time it reaches evening, when you look back, it is a field that is white. Because when cotton is ready for harvest, the balls keep bursting and the white is exposed. So you cannot say that you harvest 1 acre and move on to the next acre. You have to keep repeating it. Madam Speaker, family sizes have reduced, and as a result, you don't have that labor to sustain the activities that are required in cotton farms. The solution has come in the way of BT cotton. Madam Speaker, there has been a conversation around genetically modified organisms, or GMO, in this country. But a decision was made that let us start with BT cotton. And Madam Speaker, I support BT cotton as long as we have gone through the necessary precautions that are required under the biosafety and other laws in this country. Because BT cotton reduces the amount of work required to tend to the cotton crop. It reduces the number of times you need to spray your cotton crop. It is more hardy, and BT simply means it is injected with something that makes it more resistant to pests. Madam Speaker, as we discuss the Cotton Industry Development Bill, let us look at other aspects of ensuring that our farmers have got the right kind of seed, be it BT cotton or anything that scientists can find to be better than what we traditionally used to have. Because we cannot afford labor, because we stopped being polygamous, we stopped having many children, and in the olden days it is children and wives and husbands who used to provide labor to the farms. So BT cotton and other improved varieties, as long as they are safe for human consumption, should be promoted. Madam Speaker, the Cotton Lint Marketing Board, for a long time, was seen as a position to be given to persons who had been in the opposition, and for them to be contained and tamed. You do recall that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, when he left detention, he was appointed to be the chair of the Cotton Lint Board. And because Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was a truthful man, I don't know, today people tolerate truthful men, but they never tolerated the truthful man that Jaramogi was. Because Jaramogi, when he was appointed chair of the Cotton Lint Board, he said that there are people who grabbed land in Kenya. And as a result, he was fired from the Cotton Lint Board and sent into political oblivion. Those were some of the things that made cotton to be underlooked, underrated. There was underinvestment in the cotton industry because of political considerations. Also because cotton was grown in areas that were politically radical. Madam Speaker, the government, in terms of its industrial policy, in terms of its agricultural policy, saw to it that those regions remained marginalized and at the mercy of the national government. This bill should cure that problem. This bill should revive cotton growing. It should put money back in the pockets of cotton growers. It should allow cotton growers to work with the same kind of dignity that maize farmers have. This bill should ensure that the national government looks at cotton the same way it looks at maize growers. That it should, as it's providing free or subsidized fertilizers to maize growers, it should do the same for cotton growers. It should provide good quality seed to cotton growers. It should ensure that there is a market for Kenyan cotton. It should ring-fence the Kenyan local market. Madam Speaker, the AGOA, Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, that the Americans came up with to support African countries to spur local production and to be able to export things to the United States. Statistics show that even though we are making Levi's here in Athi River, that we are making Lee and all sorts of designer brands here in Athi River, all of which are extensively based on cotton. Most of that cotton is coming from Egypt, is coming from other countries, coming from Ethiopia, and very little of it is coming to Kenya. We need to address that. If AGOA is to be beneficial to the people of Kenya, it should not just be in the form of providing some sweatshop kind of labor for our people in Athi River. It should not just be because it is providing a real estate market or real estate boom in Athi River and Syokimau and related areas. It must also trickle down to the farmers. We must make sure we protect our farmers, but we can only do that if we promote the production of cotton, we promote the formalization of cotton growing. Madam Speaker, I also hope that this bill does not take us back to the Produce Marketing Board era. The Produce Marketing Board era, Madam Speaker, was a strategy that went alongside import substitution policies. And they've been discredited in many instances. Madam Speaker, that is the reason why, when Mwai Kibaki took over power, he came up with the strategy for revitalization of agriculture. And that led to the amalgamation of all the different boards that had been established. and we set up one super board called Agriculture, Food, Fisheries, and Livestock Organization. Madam Speaker, I know today, before this House, there are some proposals to break down AFA, because AFA has failed in its mandate. But AFA has not failed because it was meant to, or the managers there did not do a good job. AFA failed because the ministers of agriculture were always fighting with AFA. The ministers of agriculture, from the time AFA was established, thought that AFA had more powers than the Ministry of Agriculture. And so they've done all they can to bring back the powers that have been given to AFA back to the ministry. Madam Speaker, it's the same conversation we are hearing today, that someone can go to church and decide that the National Land Commission, which is a constitutional body, whose powers are derived from the Constitution, someone speaking in church because he has given a fat offering, can pronounce that he's taking away the power of NLC in certain areas and donating it back to the ministry. Madam Speaker, that is what happened to AFA, that the ministry and the mandarins in the national executive did not want AFA to succeed. As a result, we hived off fisheries. We are now hiving off livestock. We hived off tea. I think we have hived off crops, and now we're in the process of hiving off cotton. Let us make sure that if we are going to produce or come up with a cotton marketing board to be able to promote the products from this industry, that it is not another unnecessary duplication that is going to be a strain on the taxes and on the resources of this country. Madam Speaker, as I finish, this country, you do not need to raise taxes and increase taxes. All you need to do are two things: cut down on wastage, reduce the size of government, and then invest in productive sectors like the cotton industry, like the fishing industry, like the livestock industry. There will be so much money that even if people were paying a tax rate of 2%, there'll be enough to run the government. Madam Speaker, I support and I congratulate Senator Siengo on this wonderful bill that will put money in the pockets of the people of Homa Bay.
Senator Olekina.
Madam Speaker, thank you. First, let me begin by thanking the good Senator Shiango, for thinking about the diversification of our cash crops in this country. Madam Speaker, I've had a chance to go through the bill. Although I support the bill, I've got various reservations, and I've just had a chat with her on some of the things that she ought to change in the bill, which I will speak about here. Madam Speaker, first of all, let me just give a small, brief history of this country when it comes to the issue of cotton growing. At one point, this country was producing quite a lot of cotton. In fact, when cotton was introduced, you'll find a lot of textile industries which were flourishing. In Uasin Gishu County, we have the Kenya textile industries located there. They were doing very well. At that time, we didn't have a lot of mitumbas. And I think by concentrating everything to Nairobi is what ended up killing the cotton industry in this country. If you go to our hospitals, before, our local hospitals, even if they were not devolved, people will go to makwiny, Machakos, Lamu, and get cottons that they can be able to use in hospitals. Our farming, or rather livestock industry, was benefiting a lot from cotton seeds, which gives energy and proteins to cows. Today, Madam Speaker, as a farmer, I import all my cotton feeds, or the seeds, from Uganda. I get it as a byproduct, which the factories in Uganda have already removed the oil. They have already taken out other minerals from the cotton to be able, first of all, to make oil. Number two, they have also created soaps. They have also taken that cotton to be able to make fabric, and they have sold it at higher prices. Here, we are getting the byproduct. But when we are getting this byproduct, it is also very, very expensive. So I think, Madam Speaker, These are the kind of bills or legislations that we have to bring to this House. One, the reason why I support this bill, although there are areas which I do not, and I'm going to talk about them, is that agriculture is devolved. And this House should be in the front line of passing legislation that promotes devolved functions. My biggest problem that I've had with this bill is the fact that the proposed board, which is going to be set up, is going to be headquartered here in Nairobi, a place where they do not even produce any cotton. Why are we not comfortable with county governments building themselves? Why are we so much into this issue of giving the national government all the powers? Madam Speaker, the day we recognize the fact that our counties are very important for us, and they are very important for the people on the ground, is the day that we'll begin making legislations that will make sure that even if it is those boards, they are only set up in the county levels. If you look at the budget, Madam Speaker, and this year's budget is a very interesting budget, which all of us will cry, because the budget, I dare say, this year's budget is not even being drafted by the members of parliament of this country. It is a foreign budget, you know, maybe drafted by the IMF and the World Bank because of the debt that we are in. But if we are to develop a budget and give our counties money, there's really no reason as to why we should set up a board for the Cotton Development Board, and you have it headquartered here, and you give the president the power to appoint the chairperson of that board. Why are we doing that? Madam Speaker, I want to persuade my dear sister to change that and deny this national government that power. You know, the biggest problem we have is that we are yet to agree that we have moved away from the central government structure. We now have two arms of government. We have two levels of government. We have the national government and we have the county government. Give all the powers to the county governments. Don't deny this national government power. You are saying you have devolved agriculture, but the majority of the money is left here in Nairobi. You say you've devolved health, but the majority of the money is left here in Nairobi. Why are we lying to ourselves? I have a big problem, Madam Speaker, of drafting legislation using a colonial mind. Set up a board. Why are we over-legislating? I mean, it's completely ludicrous. What we need to do is to support our counties. Agriculture is devolved. If you look at the objects, a memorandum of this bill, at the last page it says, there's a big question that is asking, it says, statement on how bill concerns county governments. And it clearly says there, agriculture is a devolved function set out in paragraph 1 of part 2 of the 4th schedule of the Constitution. By facilitating the development of the cotton industry in the county, the bill seeks to ensure that cotton farmers have opportunities to enhance cotton farming and value addition to cotton products. Now tell me, if you put a headquarter here in Nairobi, how is a farmer in Narok going to benefit from that? How is a farmer in Makwiny going to benefit from that? How is a farmer in Lamu, how is a farmer in Tana River going to benefit from that? Put the headquarters there in the cotton growing region. Who says that cotton cannot be grown in Narok? If cotton can be grown in Homa Bay and part of Siaya, I dare say that part of Narok County, the soil, if you look at this, if you analyze the soil, they can also grow cotton there. So let us promote our counties. You know, whatever is devolved, let us make legislation that supports counties. Now, others might come up with an argument and say that not every part of Kenya grows cotton. Make those parts of Kenya grow cotton. You know, Madam Speaker, I come from a school of thoughts where if you give me a stone, I'll boil that stone and I'll drink the soup. Because at least I'll have to make something out of it. We are in a time when we can use science. Why is it that whenever we travel to other countries, we are very happy to come and say, oh, I was in Italy, I was in Brazil. If you see the way they do agriculture, the way they promote their industries, you know, we're so happy to clap for those countries, but when we come back here, we just sit. and we put everything to Nairobi. We give more power to the president. We give more power to the Minister of Agriculture. Then why don't we just say, to hell with this issue of devolution, and let's go back to the colonial period of a central government. Those are the things that I do not support, and I hope that my sister can be able to change that. Remove this issue of saying, headquarters of the board shall be Nairobi. In fact, what we should be saying, and this is why we now need to talk to our brothers in the National Assembly. Because even if our brothers in the National Assembly oversight national government, they come from our counties. They are the ones who are fighting for CDF, which is something which I do not completely believe in, because we have counties. The reason why our counties are not doing well is because instead of supporting devolution, we are busy, taking away money from devolution. We need to have a conversation with our brothers in the National Assembly. And we tell them, when it comes to budget making process or the appropriation of the budget, what we need to do is to make sure we send more money to counties. If it is this county, Makwiny, Tana River, we've got the coastal region, we have about 5 counties, all of them, Kwale, Kilifi, Lamu, Taita Taveta, Tana River. If it is in central, Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Murang'a. If it is in Rift Valley, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kajiado, Southeast, Kericho, Turkana, West Pokot, make sure when it comes to the issue of the budget, if it goes to the issue of the agricultural docket, sit down, talk to the Minister of Agriculture, and you, the MPs who are sitting down in that budget committee, if you are the ones who are really making this budget, ensure that your regions have got money to grow the cotton industry. Madam Speaker, it is a shame that now we are only producing 25,000 bales in this country. And the demand is over 200,000 bales. Yet, we used to pride ourselves as being, even right now we are priding ourselves as being one of the richest country in the Eastern Central Africa. We must practice what we preach. And the moment we realize that our counties are important is the day that we'll continue developing them. What I like about the bill is that it envisions a situation where it creates employment, it helps farmers, but those farmers will not be assisted by 100% policy. Because when you talk about the representation of the members of the board, that they have to take their cue from Nairobi. Nairobi, there's very little agriculture here. How do you think a farmer who has got no clue where Nairobi is, and I dare say there are so many people who have never seen Nairobi, Madam Speaker. In fact, from your own county, there are people who don't even know Nairobi exists. They don't even know anything else exists apart from their neighborhood, because that's what they have. How do you expect that farmer, who is very intelligent, to be able to benefit from this board? Today, Madam Speaker, earlier on, and I was causing a lot of havoc with my sister, 27-year-old senator. We reduce money that has been set aside by the Constitution to go to counties. This is on the Equalization Fund. We have reduced over 3 billion. And what excuse do we have? Treasury does not have money. The Constitution says set aside a certain amount of money every year. Treasury should have been setting aside that money. So we've reduced that money. You've denied my county money, which is supposed to get. But one of the things that really annoys me is that all these boards, now there's an equalization secretariat. It takes about 416 million. For what? What is that secretariat doing? Taking away 416 million. So you've reduced that to about 300 and something million. Now here, you're also talking about this board. This board will also have a budget allocated to it. A lot of money. Instead of taking that money to counties, so that in the agricultural budget of each and every county, they can allocate money to employ field officers who will be able to go into those cotton growing regions and support young farmers. There's absolutely no way we are going to change this country If all we think about is establishing boards, you know, which consist of a chairperson appointed by the president by notice of gazette, you are creating more jobs. This is so interesting, Madam Speaker, because you keep on saying our wage bill is bloated, and you are creating them more here. I want to persuade my sister, although now the bill is a property of this House, but I want to persuade her to scrap all that, you know, and now let us begin drafting legislation, keeping in mind what is happening in our counties. You know, not every legislation that we develop must have a board. We are just creating more jobs for a few individuals who are known, and the rest will not get it. Finally, Madam Speaker, as I wind up, I want to remind Kenyans of the tough times we have ahead. This is going to be one of the most punitive years of our lives. Only farming and agriculture, if we go back to old days, old ways of doing things, will be able to support us. I want to plead with county governments to allocate more money into the agricultural sector, into their agricultural dockets, and ensure that they take advantage of these rains. If we don't take advantage of these rains, it is going to be very difficult for people to survive. Today, Madam Speaker, if you board a boda, a place where we used to pay 50 shillings to ride on that boda, it is 200 shillings now because of the cost of living. The cost of living is going so high. It is a time when government is supposed to spend more money but not overtax people. All these legislation that we are proposing here, that we want to pass, they will only become good on paper because even the ministers will not have the powers to be able to cause them to be implemented. I want to request my brothers in the National Assembly to think twice before passing a finance bill, which we know it will affect farmers, and that finance bill, they don't even know what is in it because they are not the ones who have drafted it. These are foreign things. It's about time that we take pride of who we are as a country. We learn to live within our means and do away with all this taxation. It is going to be so bad. Madam Speaker, it is like feeding a cow during a dry season with wet forage. You know what happens? The stomach swells, and for you to maintain that cow, you will have to make a big hole in the tummy. This time around, since nobody is going to be there to help you make that big hole, it will just burst, and no one will be able to control what will happen in this country. Madam Speaker, I support.
Senator Ogola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute into Senator Beth Siengo's Cotton Industry Development Bill 2023. Madam Speaker, this bill excites me. When you look at the second schedule of counties, you'll see in the Nyanza region, Homa Bay, which is my county, is the first on that list. And that is not to say, Madam Speaker, that the other counties are not exciting to me. Madam Speaker, in my early years of growth, in my home, my grandfather and grandmother were great farmers of cotton. Ideally, a number of people went to school in those days because of cotton growing. And Madam Speaker, we all grew up at some point when we were from school working on the cotton farms. And it was exciting that our grandfather and grandmother would take us through the process. And it was exciting. I remember one of the previous speakers just narrated the challenge that we'd go through as we did harvesting. That, Madam Speaker, you'd start the harvesting, and when you are like 100 meters or 200 meters away from where you started, and if you looked back, behind you would be all white. I mean, Madam Speaker, it gave you so much work to do, but the happiness in this is that there was more cotton seeds that were sprouting up after every time, and that was the, actually, that was the fun of it, that was the beauty of it, because then it meant the quantity kept on increasing. Madam Speaker, I'm very excited. In my region, Madam Speaker, there was a very outstanding industry called Kikomi. All school leavers would finish school and they would not sit at home the way they do today, because there was somewhere to start work where they would go, would be employed to work, and that was because of the thriving cotton industry then. But Madam Speaker, today, the place is gloomy. A number of our students in that region ideally have nowhere to turn to in terms of getting some casual work or work on contract as they wait to join other tertiary education. Madam Speaker, that is specifically why I'm excited with this bill. And in Homa Bay County, where I come from, Madam Speaker, if cotton thrives, then the whole of the economy of that county thrives. And I can tell you, Madam Speaker, the excitement that my county members have, because Homa Bay is a cotton growing industry. If this bill will help to the promotion of cotton, then it means that in one way or the other, as a county of Homa Bay, we will have something that will be investing it and something that the farmers can smile about. Madam Speaker, something else why I'm excited about this bill is that the sponsor spells out even a very comprehensive management style, management of the industry. That there shall be a board that will be created. And I'm excited, Madam Speaker, because in the board, the composition of the board, you can see that there will be representation of persons, of farmers themselves. If I'm not wrong, around 6 of them. And that to me is exciting because the board, this industry, the board will be managed by half of people who really are farmers of cotton and who really knows what they want in the board. Something else that excites me, Madam Speaker, in the board is that the Council of Governors is also represented in the board. Madam Speaker, this is critical because agriculture being devolved and because, Madam Speaker, this cotton will be grown in some county. And when you go further than that, Madam Speaker, you see the role of the county government is spelled out very clearly, the role of county governments. So it means, Madam Speaker, that in this board, there will be members primarily who are nominated by the Council of Governors who will be representing the county interest. And Madam Speaker, if you see some of the roles that are spelled out in the bill, you see that the one role of the county government will be to give financial support to the promotion of the development of the cotton industry. Madam Speaker, lack of finances is part of the reason why that industry has not been doing well. And so if this is spelled out and the roles that are given to the county government, then it means that this industry is going to thrive. Madam Speaker, another very outstanding role that the county governments will be doing is the offering of extension services in the cotton production. Madam Speaker, in agriculture, which is purely devolved, that is an area that has been crying out. And a number of our local people are crying because as the farmers, even when seeds are given, even when fertilizers are given, Madam Speaker, the farmers rarely have extension officers visiting them. And this means that the farmers lack the advice, the technical advice that would otherwise make them do better with their farm produce. But I find that, Madam Speaker, this the sponsor has spelled out in the bill. Another exciting role of the county government that is spelled out in the bill, Madam Speaker, is the promotion of organizations, of associations, of the farmers, of the cotton farmers. And Madam Speaker, this is critical because when you pull together, you network, that will make our farmers be able to access even credit facilities as groups. Because, Madam Speaker, you know the challenges that are there in accessing credit, especially when you do it individually. So, Madam Speaker, to me, this is also very exciting. Madam Speaker, another very important role that the bill spells out is that it will enable the farmers to do value addition because of the role, the intensive role that the bill gives the county governments. And the county governments, again, in their roles, Madam Speaker, I see one major role of monitoring of the farms. As they do extension services, they'll be monitoring the farms. They'll be able to see issues that affect farmers like pests and diseases that attack crops. And Madam Speaker, that is an area that has brought down the cotton industry in my area before this bill came up, because the farmers individually dealt with the issues of pests, with the diseases, and now if this is brought out to be a prominent role of the county government, a government that is closer to the people, a government that is closer to the farmers, then I know, Madam Speaker, that the cotton industry is going to thrive, and I'm excited it is going to thrive, and my region is going to pick it because that is a cotton growing industry. But Madam Speaker, coming to this heavy role that the county government has been given in this bill, it means it has a lot of financial obligations on the county government, and especially in agriculture. And not only limited to agriculture, Madam Speaker, because we know there are also other ministries that the county governments are overseeing, like health, like roads, and all those other ministries. But Madam Speaker, see the roles that are here. A number of it, like extension services, would require finances to facilitate. The extension officers will have to move to the fields and move to the fields regularly to monitor the different growth levels of even the cotton, or the different growth levels of the process of the cotton growing. And that brings me, Madam Speaker, to the pressure that the county governments have over finances. And Madam Speaker, if you are going to have county governments that are going to run for months, for 5 months, for 4 months, without disbursements from the national government, Madam Speaker, all this effort we are making, then it means we are going to be challenged. And that is why we say that, Madam Speaker, county governments are governments spelled out in the Constitution, and it is very clear they are distinct. They get their monies from Treasury just as the national government gets. So this Senate must ensure that disbursements to county governments are timely, as scheduled. Because then, if that does not happen, then it means some of the roles that are spelled here are not going to be taken very seriously. So, Madam Speaker, I want to support this bill, and we want to encourage the sponsor. We'll walk you through with this. It means so much to our counties, and Madam Speaker, agriculture is so crucial to our people. The cotton industry development bill that we are discussing here is going to enhance the issue of employment in our counties. Because if that is structured well, then it means our people will have employment on the farms. As value addition is done, as we invest in that, the cotton industry, that it means it will also be giving adequate income to our people. And so, Honorable Speaker, I applaud the sponsor of this bill, and I want to stand out as a supporter of the bill. Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Mutinda.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me start by really congratulating my sister from my home county, none other than Kitui County, Senator Beth Siango, for wonderfully bringing up this great bill. Why do I say it's a good bill? It's good because it's an agricultural bill. Agriculture is one of the sectors that do and continue improving our economy, not only in Kenya, but largely in the East African country. Madam Speaker, this bill, as I listened to my great sister, because at some point I used to sit in the Agricultural Committee, and I saw the passion that she really dedicated, and I understood her passion because as our region, Kitui, which is one of the regions that cotton has been grown, is one of the cash crops that we've always prided in. Yes, in other counties like Siaya, Meru, Machakos, we still have this cash crop. The way she has brought it out country, and more so to these specific counties that she has brought about and brought out. I agree, as my colleagues have put, that agriculture is a devolved function. And she really focuses on these regions that produce the cash crop, cotton. As we speak and as we know that the industry went down. But she brings about in her bill stating on how and the impact that this cash crop is going to bring about. What is key and what I want to emphasize is on how we are focusing on bringing up this cash crop. It is very, very important to ensure that the farms that grew this cash crop will be more prioritized, even at a national government level. The government, as we speak, as far as agriculture is concerned, through the Minister of Agriculture, is focusing on ensuring that it supports its farmers. And how does it support? It supports its farmers by providing the correct and the standard seedlings for the different cash crops. Also, the quality fertilizer that is required to be able to bring the germination process of this cash crop. Madam Speaker, cotton is a product that gives us different byproducts. Away from the farming process, we have the manufacturing process. And as a manufacturer, both sectors from the farm and the manufacturing level are going to increase job creation. The economy where it is, things have been tough. But as much as they are tough, it is the high time we minimize on white-collar jobs and look at the jobs that are actually going to have a much more bigger futuristic benefit. And agricultural sector is one of them, whereby our youths from these different regions are going to get employment. White-collar jobs also will be attained, and this is about close to over 10,000 that will be in these offices, ensuring that they acquire a bigger market share for the cash crop. The finance bill that we've been talking about has a clause that talks about excess duty on imported products. The finance bill is discouraging imported products that us as a country can be able to produce and provide in our markets. And in this part of this excise duty, it is the high time that we understand the finance bill is discouraging and encouraging our own local industries, both manufacturing, agricultural sectors in the farming. Because the moment we embrace, the moment we add value to our cash crops, and more precise to the cotton that we are discussing about, then we embrace what is our own. We embrace what is Kenyan. we embrace what is African. And to note, Madam Speaker, tomorrow is actually African Day. It is a time that we need to pride in our local products that we have as a country. When I get an opportunity to travel, Madam Speaker, one of the things that comes out when you say you are from Kenya is the Kenyan tea. It is an international product. It is what resonates because they know the Kenyan tea is a brand. I'm happy because in the finance bill, which I urge my colleagues to take time and get to understand what is in this bill, because even some of the tax that are in place, the bill proposes that it's going to remove some of these taxes for coffee and tea. And that is where we should take cotton in such a way that we also pride in it. The market has been affected by the brokers, where our farmers sweat so much, go through a lot, but the output is minimized. I'm happy to state I have a bill that talks about the extension services. And since agriculture is a devolved function, and since my sister Siengo is clearly understanding that this cash crop grows very well in specific counties, through the intervention of the extension officers, we expect a lot of improvement of the product, bringing about the product to the standard that is required, because standards really matter. And the extension officers that are going to be in place are going to ensure that our farmers have the right seedling, have the right soil pH levels, have the right components that are required, up and including the correct farming processes, so that we have a product that shines the way tea has shined in this country. Madam Speaker, from statistics, back to the finance bill, when we talk about the housing issue, we need to realize that when you talk about housing, it's much more on the urban sector, such that we need to ensure the land that we have, especially at the county level, is plowed and utilized as agricultural land. And then the question we ask, agricultural for what product? Cotton is one of the products, Madam Speaker, that through our agricultural farms that are out there are going to enhance maximum production, maximum yields of this particular commodity. As my colleague, Senator Olekina, had said earlier, that we have about 25,000 bales instead of 250. You know, I really appreciate the fact that we have a quantity, because it is in that quantity then we sit back and see how do we maximize. I really appreciate the fact that in our country we at least can talk about cotton. The jobs that are going to be created for the different sectors. Remember, even in the local areas, informally, we are going to create jobs. Informally, also, we are going to improve the local infrastructure. Case example, the roads. We are going to ensure there is maximum electricity in these regions. The issue of the board has been mentioned. But you see, like any management company, there has to be administration. There has to be management. There has to be the overhead who is looking at these processes, who is ensuring that the same mistakes that were done in the 1980s when these farms were closed down are not going to repeat themselves. So the issue of either they are located in Nairobi, located whatever region, to me, it's a non-issue, because what is key is not where that board is located. It is what the board does, the functions of the board. the capability of the board to ensure that the cash crop, as far as cotton is concerned, is going to have the value that is needed, the set goals that need to be achieved. Madam Speaker, what I would urge that can be added in the bill is the issue of as an association. In case example, Cotton Farmers Association, whereby it even grows to a SACCO, it even grows to a microfinance. So that's their targets of growth. Like any growing industry, like any new organization, there has to be a plan. There has to be a vision, a mission, a goal. What is attainable? And this is going to be guided by the deliverables and the different variables that are going to be put in place so as to ensure this is achieved. So I rise, family, supporting my sister's bill, Senator Beth, that this is a very good bill. This is a bill that I know one day we will go back to our home counties and look at the impact that the cash crop has brought. So, Madam Speaker, with those many few remarks, I highly do support. Thank you.
Senator Omtata.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to support the cotton bill by Senator Siango. Cotton is one of the fabrics that is lightweight, affordable, and comfortable to wear. And if you look around, the majority of us are wearing cotton stuff. And I think the way all of us are comfortable, I think our underwears are all in cotton. Because some of those fabrics you can't create some clothes out of. But cotton has many, many advantages. Activities associated with growing, handling, ginning, and ginning has been around for now about 200 years. Ginning of cotton provide a significant source of income annually in those countries that have taken cotton seriously. They are major industries and they make huge amounts of money. Cotton is an international crop that is traded internationally because it is a significant crop for the world economy. Exports of cotton products will contribute a significant amount to the foreign exchange of Kenya if this country takes cotton seriously. We are talking of AGOA. Right now, the Chinese have simply shifted shop to Kenya to avoid the sanctions in their own countries, and they are using cotton from elsewhere to make use of Kenya's share of the AGOA protocol. So if we grow our own cotton and service these industries, we stand to make a lot of money out of them. Also, though agriculture is devolved, the national government has a major role in terms of policy to ensure that the cotton industry thrives. So the government must come up with measures, including subsidies, to protect producers and to stimulate cotton growing by insulating it from whatever factors that are playing out in the global scene. Because globally, cotton is also a political crop, whereby rich countries subsidize their producers to even produce uneconomically, but to make sure that they secure their own textile industries. A factor that has to be addressed that led to the killing of cotton is the low price of cotton. Right now, cotton in Kenya is very, very low, is drawing very low prices compared to neighboring countries, even like Uganda, where it's, I think, double what you are getting in Kenya. So the government needs to look into that and to ensure that the primary producer is protected by forcing part of what is made in the value chain by middlemen and others who come in at the later stages. Those profits they make should be shared downstream or upstream. I don't know which is upstream now. I think it's upstream with the producers. We also have a problem with the cost of BET seed. And I think the government should, in terms of research, which is a mandate of the national government, should revive the likes of the Cotton Research Center in Kisumu to be able to come up with our own seed varieties, like India has done, so that we don't rely on the likes of Monsanto. I'm informed that a kilogram of BET seed is about 4,000 shillings, and you can only buy it in US dollars and on order. So how can that then run, and how can that revive our cotton industry? If we are going to look for those kind of seeds, let us develop our own. And that calls for serious investment by the national government in research and development. R&D must take a forefront when it comes to reviving the cotton industry. We must carry out research and develop our own varieties and propagate them to the farmer. I've heard people commenting on the finance bill during these same submissions. I'm sorry to say that the finance bill is, in terms of developing a country, amounts to arrant nonsense. No country has been developed through taxation. When you tax farm inputs, and cotton is an agricultural crop, what do you aim to get? It's failure. When you tax petroleum so that the cost of petroleum becomes too high, what do you aim to get?
What's your point of order, Madam Mutinda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise on a point of order that the Senator stick to the discussion of the bill, which is the cotton bill, and not the finance bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I was contributing, in fact, to the Senator just given a point of order. She then introduced the finance bill and began praising it and lionizing it and anointing it and putting ointment and perfume on it. But the thing is a skunk. It smells. There's nothing you can do. It stinks. So, unfortunately, the finance bill will not find its way to this House unless my petition in the High Court succeeds, which is trying to force that the finance bill must come to the Senate because it affects us in terms of our mandate over the counties. With those few remarks, I support the bill and pray that it should be enacted into law. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Hamida.
Asante, Madam Speaker. Yangu ni machache tu ya kuwa yote yamezungumzwa, lakini naunga mkono dadangu Senator Sengo ya kuwa hii pamba inafaa kuhimizwa na kuwahima kwa kwa viwanda vya pamba. Na pia tukiangalia upande wa pamba, dada yetu ameleta kuwa huu mswada ni mzuri sana. Pamba kwanza, kilimo cha pamba kinafaa. Pamba kwa kweli wa Kenya bado hawajaelewa vizuri ni kuwa ni dhahabu nyeupe kwa Kenya. Hii pamba inaitwa dhahabu nyeupe kwa sababu wengine wote wanaichukulia kwa nchi kama Tanzania. Unaona kuwa wamechukulia kwa uzito sana ukulima wa pamba. Hii, Madam Speaker, pamba inatoa vitu vingi sana, inaponyesha ugonjwa mkubwa sana. Upande wa gome la mzizi wa pamba kuwa hiyo ni root ya pamba, huwa ni dawa kwa vitu vingi sana. Inakuwa dawa kama kwa kutapika, kwa kichwa, kwa kujaribu kuzuia kuendesha. Yote hii inatokana na pamba. Mapamba pia inatoa mafuta mengi, mafuta kama ya zeti, mafuta kama ya korosho, mafuta kama ya karanga, yote inatoka na pamba. Madam Speaker, kuna hii dawa wanaita omega 3. Omega 3 inatokana na pamba, na ndio inatuzuia na ugonjwa mwingi, ugonjwa wa mifupa na ugonjwa kutokana na
Senator Hamida, you will have a balance of 18 minutes when the session resumes. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 25th May 2023 at 2:30 p.m.